The trade wars are back with Donald Trump's re-election, and he wants to place tariffs on trade with all competitors around the world, with some rates ranging from hundreds of percent to Mexico and China. These will have a dramatic effect on my life and yours and everyone around the world. And it is important that you understand how tariffs work, and they are not just an added sales tax. A tariff is a type of tax placed on foreign trade, individuals importing or exporting. This is important to understand that most international trade is not done between countries, but within a company itself, usually buying from along its supply chain, even from its own entities. Think a lot about Amazon warehouses sending a package from one Amazon warehouse in one country to another Amazon warehouse in another country. Because of existing US law, the president has a lot of unilateral power to lay down tariffs and other types of sanctions against foreign companies to protect domestic industry. So imagine that I'm mega company Walmart. Currently, I import 70% of my goods that I resell in my stores from China. If Donald Trump does his 100% tariffs on Chinese imports, that means I will have to get 100% more markup on every single one of those goods to maintain my existing profit margin. But it gets even worse when we look at the companies in China. While the Chinese economy has been slowing and slowly deindustrializing, that does not mean there aren't hundreds of thousands of industrial jobs that are dependent upon companies, foreign companies, buying goods manufactured in China. And I don't mean just low-end goods or agriculture, I mean high-tech goods like the cell phone I'm using right now. A price shock of 100% down an entire supply chain will crush companies, which definitely do not operate even on a good day at 100% profit markups that they can absorb all of that impact. Companies will shut down, and China currently represents 17% of the global GDP. Trumpers would argue this is good because that means that people will rapidly detach from China. But the reality is there is not enough capacity elsewhere to absorb all of that need. That just doesn't exist. You cannot just hope to have manufacturing magic itself up with an educated workforce that can do all of the things that China is currently doing. And also, it is important to remember, we do not live in a world where our economies are just national. Having 17% of the world's GDP starting to collapse will have ripple effects across the world. Needless to say, the disaster it will cause the Chinese people who have to endure that economic collapse. Trump's plan involves passing a law that allows him as the president to offer retaliatory increased tariffs whenever any other country raises a tariff higher than the one currently existing by the United States, which means other countries either get to not make tariffs at all, or the US will always make one that is higher, leading to a upward spiral of ever-increasing tariffs and prices upon everything. These ever-increasing tariffs will cause an ever-increasing spiral downward for the economy. As companies lay workers off, less people have less to spend on goods that are ever more expensive, and global supply chains start to shut down as manufacturing firms cannot absorb the constant price shocks of ever-increasing tariffs rippling throughout the global economy. It is a disaster type situation, and because the United States currently has around 26% of the world GDP, it has the weight to have a massive shattering effect on the global economy. And this isn't just a trade war between the United States and China. Trump has been going after every country and group in the world and wants to put tariffs also on the European Union, and has even pitched the idea of 250% tariffs on Mexico. And I have to point out, people who already don't have a lot of money will be hit by this most as prices continue to spiral upward. And remember, we're going through climate change, which means things like agriculture will continue to be dramatically affected and crop yields will decline over time, which means these Trump tariffs have the potential to wreck the economy for a decade or more. So what can we do in the rest of the world? Well, we need to be making sure that we're detaching our economies from the United States and starting to build up our own domestic production. If the world of globalization is coming to a screeching halt in many respects, it's important that countries are able to do the things that they have been relying on other countries for a very long time. And this also puts a lot of emphasis on groups and unions of countries like the European Union to collaborate on an ever deeper degree to be able to replace all of the things that they have benefited so far from the United States and China across every single sector. This is especially true on telecommunications, aerospace, agriculture, and the culture industry itself. The Trump tariffs are trouble. Make sure that you stay prepared. Thank you.